Computer. Okay, so we're officially recording. I'm just going to stop that. Hello, everyone.
Hello.
I can't hear you.
Hello.
Hello, everyone.
Hello,
Hello.
Hi, sir.
Welcome back. You survived another week, so I think that's wonderful. Exciting. Did the system send you an email of grades for your RFQ assignment? Yes or no?
Yes.
Yes.
You got an email. Okay. And there may be 4 or 5 of you that haven't got it. It's because I think there's 2 of you, 3 of you had trouble with Moodle and you sent to my email. So I haven't updated that grade. And so we'll fix that up later tonight. Okay. What we're going to do tonight is 3 things. So I just want to set out, let me just share the screen so we have some plan for tonight before we lose all the planning. Okay. So the plan for tonight, let me just, oh, interesting. The PowerPoint likes to play up a little bit. Oh, that's coming back. If you go to the front page of Moodle, you'll see that I have posted a PowerPoint slide, how to score well. Okay. I think that's a big question on every student's mind. Like, oh, this is a new professor. How do I score well? Okay, that's a question. So I thought I made a collection of slides that you can go through in your leisure. So you have a little bit more. Now that you are into this unit, now you're committed because now it's week 4. You can't back out. I give you exactly more details about how you can score well, especially right in the report, especially with the major project, the video presentation and the report. And the quiz, how do you score well in the quiz, different areas that the quiz is going to cover. I need to update this because this is going to include also week 1 and 2, parts of week 1 and 2. So apart from that, everything else is very, very helpful in helping you thinking about how to score well. What I'm going to do now is just put this into presentation mode. And we're going to swap. You are screen sharing. Stop screen sharing. Let me just share the screen to make sure we've got it on the right screen. Okay, great. Okay, good. All right, there's your request for quotation. Here's what we're going to do tonight. So you have a plan, and this is not week 4, week 3, it's week 4. Okay. Introduction request for quotation. So in the first 45 minutes, we want to go through this and get you to enter your details now that you have done the request for quotation exercise. Number 2, we've got 3-circle control framework. I'm going to briefly go over that and talk about how to negotiate with suppliers. So that will be sort of the middle part tonight. And then finally, I want to start to have a little bit more traction with the case study presentations and the major projects. So we've got to start to have a serious conversation about, you know, what is your major project going to be? And we can start to schedule consultation times. But I've got a new idea for a major project I'd like to share with you tonight. It's a variation of what is already listed, but it's a new idea that fits into what we're talking about with post-COVID. And, you know, now that COVID is with us, you know, for this year, probably next year, and it's just going to disrupt supply chains around the world continually into next year, then I've got a new idea for how we can do a project in that area. Okay, let's go into this request for quotation. And this is really the starting point of working with suppliers. So, you know, we could have done this many different ways. First of all, we could have done this. I could have told you, oh, here are the 10 steps you need to follow. Go out and do it, and great. But I gave you about 60% of what to do. And then I said, okay, go out. Because I want you to have come back with different things. Because we're going to put that in a spreadsheet now. I just want to show you what it looks like when people go out and you actually get different facts in your quotation. And so what we're going to do now, there's in the Moodle site, front page, there is a link, correct? Let me just pull that up now. So if we go to request for quotation assignment, let me bring that around. If we bring that around, we have assignment submission, announcements, midterm tests, assignment resources. Week 2, week 3, week 4. We're going, if you click on here, tonight, we'll enter your data for request for quotation. So can I ask all of you to click on this link now, please? So we want to get straight into some activity here. So if you click on this link, so everyone good on that link, I'm going to pull this down the chat room. Just talk, if you have a challenge, no, Nafis, you ask about problem with your camera, no problem. Just stay active and we have no problem with that, no problem. Okay, so the main thing is that what we're going to do now, if we go into this link here, and that's going to show up. Okay, so I'm asking any one of you, we've got 32 of you or more, can you each choose a column and start putting in some basic facts that you got from your request from quotation? So that should take you about 5-8 minutes maximum. Okay, so you can copy and paste. No, factory, date of establishment. Oh, maybe you have 80% of this information, then that's fine. You just put in what you have got information on. This table is not a test of your assignment, okay?
It's kept on view only, so I don't think we can edit. I'm not sure. At least on my side, it's showing view only.
Yeah, same here.
Share.
Yes, sir, it says view only.
Done, copy, owner, sharings, get link, change. Let's just try, I apologize. Okay, updating, done. Okay, try again. Now remember, you don't have to put your name under each column, but it'd be nice, you can identify your first name if you want to, that's fine. But as soon as there's a column taken, then you need to go to another column. So don't overlap with someone else that's putting in details. And as you're doing this, I'll explain the method behind what we're doing here. If you were to go out and you were to work, if you were to work in a procurement team for an SME, even some multinationals, and you have a new product and you've got to find suppliers, maybe you're looking for suppliers of components because you already have so much control over a particular factory, then you will create a spreadsheet like this, because you need to logically set out quotations from various suppliers, and then you're using a spreadsheet like this so you can compare what you have found. And the challenge when it comes to these comparisons is, the big question we're going to ask in about 10 minutes time is, do we have an apples to apples comparison? And this is like This is out of your control. All you have control over now is the exact quote that you got. You don't have control over what other people got. So, and I just want to show you, when you see this and you see all the different quotations, and we're going to ask that big question, you know, can we compare these quotations? Can we decide that one quotation is better than the other? And is there missing information, and what information is missing, to answer that type of question? It's not unusual when you are starting to source from suppliers, and if it's a serious product, even more serious than masks, then you would get requests from quotation from a minimum of 5, 6, 7, 8 suppliers. You would not just get a request from quotation from one supplier, especially if you start to talk about spending 10,000 US dollars, 20,000, 30,000. Once you get into those figures, you really, really want to make sure that you have the supplier that fits your needs. And your needs is, for the most part, shouldn't be dictated by price. There's many other factors you need to consider. So we can see that things are being populated now, and just go into the chat room if there's any questions you have, or if you have any challenges. We did this last year with the students. Last year got the USB quotation. So in the class, we spent 45 minutes doing this in the class. Okay, it's starting to come together now. What I'm going to do is I'm going to move this to my big screen. I've got a 2K screen, so then it shows up better. And then I'm going to take you through my observations of if I was to choose 3 suppliers, you know, which ones would I choose and what am I looking for? Okay. Okay, someone's put in, let's just have a look. Okay, good. Remember, you may only have 80% or 70% of information, then that's fine. You just stop with whatever facts that you have got. I'm not grading you based on what you put in here, okay? And once this gets together, what we'll do, we'll have, we can do a breakout room for 5 minutes where each group chooses three suppliers that they wish to source from and why. Now we're assuming here that, you know, all the factories are good. I think 80% of the factories, based on what you sent, I would assume that they are good. There's 1 or 2 that I felt it really wasn't clear that there was a factory involved and it was just a middleman, and one of them looked like a sham. So we're going to learn a lot in going through this exercise tonight. Okay, so 2 more minutes in putting the information together. Okay, so in total we have got 30 quotations, I believe. Is that right? Put your hand up if you are done. I just want to know where you're at.
Sorry, my internet's really slow, so it's taking a while for me to load the page.
Oh, okay. All right. Okay. Let me get my... Do you all have an exercise book, like this? And it's got Global Supply Chain Management 2020. Yes. All right. And so I use it. I make notes and it works for me. And I'm just making some notes here based on what I'm seeing already. Now, I graded every one of these assignments except I think there's about four or five assignments outstanding. So if you haven't got a grade or there hasn't been an email sent to your email to say that you've been graded, then don't worry. Now, I think there's 2 have emailed me their request for quotation, so I need to put grades in for that. If you haven't sent me a request for quotation and you haven't got a grade on Moodle, please send me an email and I'll follow up with you tomorrow. Okay, so we'll make sure that everyone learns from this experience. We should give a prize for the supplier that gets the highest vote by all the groups. That would be interesting. I noticed that some of the quotations, you put the date of establishment in 2020. What do you think that means? That means they're less than 12 months old, right? Okay.
Is it possible if they actually, because in Indonesia, usually some of the company are actually established for a few years, but they actually like only legalize their company when they are looking for loan. Is that possible in China? Like they might be.
Yeah,
like,
I think it's possible, but you can tell by the pictures too. If the factory there was one, I actually followed up on one assignment where the factory was 2020. I went online and I saw it and I'm thinking, then I looked at the about section and yeah, it is 2020. And I'm thinking, I'm sure this factory was making another product before. And then they swapped. It wasn't, the factory doesn't look like it was built early this year or last year. So interesting. But the big thing about date of establishment, what's important there is you want to know that there's a history of that factory. And you need to have that in mind when you're doing the case study presentations. And think about, the factory that you are presenting on is, how old is this factory? Has it been around for a long time? Maybe it was set up 6 months ago, then maybe in 6 months' time, it can go away. It's just as easy. You don't want to be dealing with those type of suppliers. So it's always a question in your mind if they've been set up in the last 12 months. Here's one with 2,085 people. I wonder what that means. Okay, we're starting to populate, and I think we're getting near the end of getting enough information in there. Number 24, you happy? You've got everything in? Remember, if you haven't got information for a certain row, then that's okay. The information you got is what you got. So don't feel that it's you're missing anything, okay? Number 29, have you finished? Number 30 and 31, all done? Remember to make sure you put, it's very important that if you haven't got a price per unit at FOB, or make it very, very clear. What do we mean? Can I just make it very clear about the currency? So if you got number, like if you have a look at number 2, what does 20 mean? Is that 20 Indonesian rupee, is it? Okay. So how many rupees? How does that convert to Malaysian ringgit? What's the difference there? You may need to put, maybe need to put that into brackets to help us here. Okay. Most of the others are in US dollars. So that helps. Ultimately, that helps in the comparison, but that's, okay. 60 seconds. If you can put the details in, or another 2 minutes, and then we'll do the breakout groups. And that's where you as a group pick out the 3 best suppliers that you think are worth sourcing from. And why. Okay. I gave a webinar to CPA Australia last. Let's have a look here. I'm sure. Am I sharing the screen, the correct screen with you? Let me just show you that one. Okay, so we've got the screen here. All right. I gave a webinar last Thursday night to CPA Australia in Hong Kong, and I think we had about 20 people on the call, and I was sharing with them about how this demand for PPE is not going to go away at the end of this year or at the end of next year. It's going to be a new reality, and it's going to be a new sector that I think a lot of these factories, if they do well in terms of looking after the customer, they will grow. They will continue to do well in the future. Okay, do you think we're nearly ready to do the breakout groups, or would you like a little bit more time? Number 31, nearly done? Okay, nearly done, that's great. Number 21's done. Okay, what we'll do the breakout groups if we can. I'm going to click, let's have a look. Okay, before we go into breakout rooms, here's what you need to do. Okay, in your group, you scan all of these. So we've got 26, am I right? We have 32 now. We have 32 quotations. There's information given by those quotations. I want you to pick out three suppliers that you feel confident or comfortable with in sourcing from, and why. Okay, so you need to list down the factors why. Okay, and so the good thing is you can apply number 20. I like number 25. I like number 29, for example, and then why is that? And then you can talk about what the situation is. Okay, so that's the first breakout exercise. And so we're going to do that now. Are you ready? Okay, so let's do that. And, you know, all the information's there, all the rows, it should be easily comparable. It shouldn't take you long to find the one that best fits what you need. Okay, so again, the objective function is we want to supply 2,000 units and face masks. We need to know what we're sourcing. We need to know we entrust that supplier, so forth. You know, the same thing again. But now you get to choose as a group which ones, and maybe there's a better supplier than the one that you have chosen in your own request for quotation. Okay, so please don't necessarily lean on your own quotation, even though that is first and foremost in your mind. Try and think, are there 3 other suppliers other than your own quotation? Okay, do you think you can do that? All right, so let's create some rooms. There's 37. How large would you like your groups? 8 rooms. 8 rooms will give you 4 to 5 participants in each room. Okay, so there's 8 of you, and I think 8 will be plenty. Please, okay, maybe there's 4 of you in a group. All right, don't just choose your own 4 quotations that you put in. All right, scan, because you need to justify and you need to be able to compare, right? So you may find something better in this comparison table. So please, I want you to look beyond your own quotation. All right, I've created the rooms, and how long would you like? 6 minutes or 7 minutes? Hello?
7. Longest available.
Longest available. Well, remember, this is a very quick exercise. So you know all these fields, and so now it's a sorting exercise, right? You know, you're scanning information, you're comparing. That's your job that you need to do now, and you're going to come up with 3 and the reasons why you chose those 3. And then what we're going to do across the 8 groups, we're going to add up all the votes and see which of these 32 or 33 suppliers got the most votes. All right, please don't vote for your own. This doesn't mean that this is not a vote for you if you get voted or not, right? This is a, if you find that there's another supplier, a better quotation in your own and same information, then work with that too, okay? It's not about identifying who got the best supplier here. All right, so I'll give you 7 minutes and I'll see you soon. Hi, Ginny, how are you?
Hi, sir.
Ginny,
Doing well here.
Yeah, this is good, getting this exercise going right up. And,
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah, and then they do the comparison and see what challenges they have, you know?
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah. And it's real too, because the face masks.
Yes.
It's very real. So we
How
have,
many minutes do they have?
who is this in our session with us?
I'm not sure. That's why I asked in the group.
Fireflies.ia.
I can't find the name.
Xian?
Yeah, but we don't have Xian in our class though.
Mm.
The only one that absent is Sharon. That's why I asked, is it Sharon?
We can ask them. Did you ask them in the chat?
Yeah, I did.
Oh, just privately. Oh, okay. Yes, yes. Yes.
There's no private chat though here. I don't know why.
Mm.
I think there's a setting for it.
Zoom recording. Okay. And close all rooms. That gives them 60 seconds. Now, what I'm going to do is share my screen.
Hi, sir. Sorry, I just disconnected just now because my laptop restarted by itself.
Okay. Alifia, is it?
Yeah.
And how did you go in your request for quotation?
Oh, yeah. We managed to discuss about some of the factories.
Okay. So
I think
I'm sharing the whole room now, right? So hopefully everyone is back with us. Okay, everyone's back. So what we're going to, let's go down the groups and very, very quickly. Group number one, which suppliers did you choose and why? Hello? Anyone home?
We were looking at 7, but we were still comparing with the other with the other units or the other factories.
Right. So which ones? You've got to make some choices. Number 7. What else? Group 1, please.
We were looking at number 26 as well.
Number 7, 26, and what else? Which one else? Was there another one? Hello?
Maybe 29.
29. You're still deciding. Maybe 29. So why did you choose those 3? What was the thing that was important for you?
One of it would be the lead time, I would say.
Okay.
We were also looking at their certification.
Sorry, I didn't hear that. Apologies.
We were looking at their certification.
Okay. Yes.
Yeah, they look more promising to us.
Okay, that's good. Okay, let's go to group 2. Group 2, please.
Hi. We went with 21. Yeah, 21. And then we also went with 31. But we noticed that 28 and 31 is the same company, just that 31 had more information. But yeah, we just went with that as well.
Isn't that interesting? So do you think these 2 students colluded or what? No, that didn't happen. It's just yes.
Coincidence.
Okay.
We're just saying that it's a good company, that's all.
Yes.
Okay.
We're not implying anything else.
No, but we're going to come back to that later. I've got something to talk about these 2. Don't worry, no marks have been lost on this. I've got something that I did this afternoon with these two. I knew this happened. I just wanted to know. Okay, 2131 and what else? Which one else? Another one?
We didn't really have time to discuss the last one, but I think we will go with 20.
20.
Yeah.
Okay, so what was your number one thing you were looking for? What are the big
first
factors?
we looked at the certification.
Okay.
Then second, we looked at the year of establishment.
Okay.
And then third, we looked at the payment terms.
Oh, very important. Okay, that's good. Okay, group number 3, please. Hello, group 3. Come in, come in.
Are we in the group 3? Actually, just now I'm not sure whether I'm in the group 3.
Yes, we are.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
So we chose 21, 31, and 7.
21, 31, and 7.
7.
Okay, and what were your big factors you're looking for?
We first look at the model types. We chose 3 layers, and then we look at the certificates and see what certificates they have.
Right.
And then we see the countries.
The
and
FOB.
look at the price and their payment term.
Okay, the FOB, you mean? The country of FOB, right?
Where is it based? The company based.
Right. And
2 are from China, 1 is from local Malaysia. So we just put in local Malaysia as one of the choice.
But 21 was China, 31 is
31.
China, and number 7
China.
is
local Malaysian.
Yeah, but so why did you choose that?
For the local is an SMT. I personally heard of it. So because the first thing most important to source online is how reliable we feel that supplier is. That's why the first thing we see is whether it is verified.
Is number 7 the only one in Malaysia?
No, I think there's another one is from Penang, if I'm not mistaken.
Which number is that?
So number 7 is, there's one more. Number 5.
Number 5. Okay. So why didn't you choose that?
Number 7, the price seems lower than number 5.
Right. Okay. So all right. Okay. So you.
Oh, wait.
Or is it?
Actually, just pick. Yeah. Okay. So. Yeah. But it's a little bit different because number 5, it says N95 and 3 layers. Number 7 is actually 3 layers. So I assume it's the normal 3-layer surgical mask.
All right. Okay. Number 4, group 4, please.
Yeah, it's group 4.
Hello. Yes.
Hello. We sorted it out by the item first, which is 3-ply mask. The number would be 21, 22, and 15, based on price, lead time, and shipping cost.
21, 32.
No, 21, 22, and 15.
Interesting. Yeah, product, price, and lead time, huh?
Yes, price by FOB.
Right. Yes.
Shipping cost.
Okay. All right. And group 5, please. Come in 5, please.
We went with number 15, 29, and 13.
Okay.
Yeah. We sorted it we prioritized price, and then certification, and then lead time.
Okay. Do they all make the same product? 15, 29, and 13?
Yeah, more or less.
15. Sorry, wait a minute. You said more or less. I said, do they make the same product? It's either yes or no.
Yes.
Okay. Same size. Is it the same? Is it the same size? It's 17.5 by 9.5.
Yeah.
No, 29. It's yes. And what's the other one? 13.
And 15.
And 13.
Yeah.
Okay, same. All right, good. All right, number 6, please. Number 6, please. Hit us with your answer, number 6. Group 6.
Yes, so we've selected 5, 6, and 21. So in
5.
terms of the fifth one,
Yep.
yes, the fifth one is for the N95, and the 6 is for KN95, and 21 is for the 3 layers. And so we are selecting them because the fifth one is local, and it has all the certificates that we want, guide. And in terms of lead time, it's ready stock. And the 21 is like, it has the lowest price. And in terms of the 6th one, KN95, it also has the relevant lowest price and also the fastest lead time.
Okay, so you're comparing an apple, orange, and a pear, right?
It's like we're comparing all of them, but we select the best among all of them.
Oh wow! Okay,
So each type.
Okay, all right. We'll come back to that. It's very interesting. All right, number 7, group 7, please. Your turn.
I'm not sure about. We didn't end up coming up with a final decision, but I think 17, 29, and 31. I'm not sure whether my groupmates agree, guys.
I don't know. You can ask them now. 17, 29, 31.
Yes, 29, 31,
Yeah.
17, not so sure.
Oh wow, very active group here, jumping in like that. I love that. All right, and what was your dominant thinking about why you chose them?
We looked at the address. We wanted the address to be very specific to like a very
You mean the FOB address?
No, the address of the factory.
Okay. All right, and then
Factory, the
I guess
specific.
we also looked at the date of establishment because we thought that we want to be like somewhere in the middle, not too old and not too young.
not too old, not too young.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm definitely not. I'm not in that category. Okay. All right.
And also the certifications, yeah.
Okay, yes. Okay. All right. You got to throw that in, don't you? But what was your number 1 criteria looking for?
I think it was certificate.
Yeah, the main thing was certifications, especially for the FDA, both the normal certifications, the third-party auditors and the FDA approved.
Okay, let's have a look at FDA. We're going to come back to that. Sarah, remind me to talk about that in a minute, okay? Group number 8, where are you? Hello? Group 8,
yeah,
please.
I'm from group number 8. Actually, we didn't come with any conclusion as well, but mainly we looked at certification. So as of certification, we are going with group number 21. But apart from that, we actually look at the name of factory, because at first we were going for group number 1, but as we were researching for some of the factories, we realized that they weren't specializing in making masks. So we realized that some of the factories, they were jumping on the bandwagon maybe due to COVID.
Yes.
So some of them, they were, maybe specializing in technologies or electronics, like the first supplier, Anhui Silence Import and Export. It's actually manufacturing industrial salts. So at first we were going to go with the first supplier, but end up we didn't. So I would say we go for group 21.
21 and?
I don't know. You didn't really come
Wait a
up
minute,
with
you got group
a
members.
conclusion.
Haley, you got group members there. Where are your group members?
Yeah.
Where are they when you need them?
Well, we didn't come to conclusion. How about yours? How about yours, Haley? The 31st, right? Because all the certification is really good. Like.
Yep.
So we've got 21.
So 21.
And the lead time is pretty low. That's also what we discussed. Like, if we order something, maybe we want it to come kind of fast.
So,
yeah.
Okay, so give us what's your second one?
31st.
21. You already said. 31st. Did you? That means a yes, is it?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Be clear here.
Aye, aye, aye.
And the third one?
The Haley, do you remember the Malaysian one? I think the one that
Okay.
Supplier number 7.
Samia said.
No.
Number 5. Number 5.
But so what's your rationale for now you're choosing, you got 2 oranges, but now you're going to compare the 2 oranges with an apple. So why are you doing that?
It's just that we were talking about number 5 because it was already in Malaysia. It's in Malaysia.
Okay, but
So maybe we can like.
All right, give me a third one. Number 5. All right, so you put in number 5. All right. Okay, so let's just summarize what we're doing here. Put your hand up if you think this was straightforward. Put your thumb up if you don't think so. More difficult than you think. Yeah. I want to show you that. And what are we doing? We're sourcing a simple thing like just masks. And you can't even agree on which supplier to source from. Like, Ginny, what did we come up with? What was the most popular supplier here in terms of chosen the most?
Number 21.
21. Second one, 31. And?
Yes, correct. Yeah.
And next?
29.
29.
Yeah.
Okay. So if we have a look at 29, well, we'll have a look at 31 in it, but that's a very interesting one. So first of all, when you are sourcing, what have we got here? It's a comparison table. There's no point in having a comparison table if you're not focusing on one type of product. Number one, write that down. You've got to be very clear. What is the product that you are comparing the suppliers on? So it's either that three layer mask, 17.5 by 9.5 centimeters. That's our product. Okay, I don't want to look at N95. I'm not going to look at KN95. Or you may choose, we'll just look at KN95. So let's just look at suppliers and compare the best supplier that can give us the KN95. You with me here? You always start with a product, right? You're the buyer. What's your final outcome? Your final outcome is to get the product and do with that product what you want to do. So you're choosing a product. The supplier's not choosing a product for you. So number one, your main criterion is you should compare with like product. That is, you should compare apples to apples comparison. So some of your groups, and I'm really glad you did that. One of you chose 5, 6, and 21 and thought, we'll get the best 95, the best KN95, the best 3 layers. But in the end, you can't compare those 3 because you're asking for different products from each of those 3. Okay. Number two, you as the buyer, you need to think about the location. How many of your groups thought about the location of the supplier? It's very hard to compare a supplier that will ship to Shenzhen Port, FOB, with a supplier that is located near Shanghai, and you ask that supplier also to ship in the same port in Shenzhen, then they have to pay extra money to get your package transported from the address in Shanghai down to Shenzhen. You with me? So normally what you do is say, Mr. Supplier, can you give us a request for quotation nearest to your FOB port? Okay. And so normally, then that enables you, okay, one will give you Shenzhen, one will give you Shanghai, one will give you Wuhan, or wait a minute, Shanghai, Qinzhou. then that's okay. It's okay to compare different ports because those ports are closest to the location of where the factory is. And then that enables you to do the apples to apples comparison. Okay. Number 3, and this is more a minimum, it's not a comparison, is like it's not for you to compare which factory has better certification. It's either they are certified or they are not. There's no such thing as a factory that is 70% certified. All right. It's either they have it or they don't. It's a yes, no. You with me? So you don't want to say, oh, this supplier seems to be more certified than the other one. Well, you've got to be clear about the certification. So I know I like it how many of you thought, okay, certification is very important. And we're going to have a look at that in a minute. Number 4, then you can start to think about, well, okay, how sustainable is that factory? Like, you want that factory to be around for your second order and third order, right? So do you think a factory with 11 to 50 people will be around in 6 months' time compared to a factory that has 200 or 300 people or 2,000 people? Like, you know, different scales you can think about. And so maybe you can start to think about, okay, this is not just a one-off order. I want second order, third order, fourth. Okay, so I want to make sure that the factory is sizable enough that they are going to be around in 6 months' time. Okay, so you need to think about it, certification and sustainability. All right. And, you know, and then there's many other things you can think about. You can think about, and then you think about the payment terms. So let's have a look at the payment terms because I'm interested in that. Let's have a look. Let's go from 1 to 18 very, very quickly with payment terms. Okay. If we look at number 3 says 50% down payment, full payment before shipment. Wow. Okay. What are all the others saying? 100%, 100%, 100%, 100%. TT or Alibaba, that's basically 100%, but it's not very clear. Whoever did that quote is not making it clear. That is not a payment term. That is a payment platform or a payment method. That is not payment term. Students, have you got that? You with me? Hear me here? All right. TT, well, you know, what does that mean? To send it to my bank account. That's not payment term. So these 3 are not informative with respect to payment term. Okay, 100%, 100%. Oh, this is 50% here. This is very interesting. So look, there's 50% here and 50% here. So here's a question for you. Put your thumbs up if you think you trust those 2 50% suppliers payment terms versus the others that say 100% up front. Got 2 thumbs. Any more? Can't see everyone here.
So can you repeat the question, sir? I kind of lost
the question is, okay, well, there's 2 suppliers there that's saying 50%. We can go down to the next level and see what payment terms are here. Here's another 50%. All right. Here's another 50%. Okay. And the rest are 100% up front. All right. So I'm looking at these 50%. I want to know how large are these factories? And when they say 50%, I'm thinking, I don't know about that. See, 50 to 100 people. I worry about that. All right. These 50%ers, how many people? We don't know this one. And this one, 101, not very clear. But if you look at the serious factories or the larger ones, they're this 50 to 100 for this 100%. We don't know that one. I can't make a decision on that. All right. So sometimes payment terms, it could be a scam that 50% prepaid to get your money very, very quickly. And you think, you're attracted to that because you're not putting 100% in advance. The other argument is, okay, the norm in the last 6 months is you really had to pay 100% before delivery because factories, there's so much demand for masks. So traditionally, you wouldn't pay 100% before delivery, but notice that more than half of these quotations, they want 100% in advance. See, 100% upfront. Number 26, 27, 28, 30. I know there's two that's the same, 28 and 31. Okay, all right. So let me just stop there for a moment. And I want you to think about, what have you learned with this exercise? What's the big idea that you've gone away, you've got this quotation. Now I've asked you to compare with other suppliers. What do you think you have, would you, if you were to go out and get a quotation again, would you do it differently? What would you do differently? That's the big question.
I would probably, like you said, taking into consideration of the location, because when I was asking the quotation, the only thing that in my mind is whether they can actually send it to my country or not. And so yeah, I mean, like, okay, whether they can send it or not. I don't know about the geography of China, so it's like I'm not really taking into consideration of the location.
Okay, that's a good point. Just to answer your question, geography of China is probably not as, probably different from India, as Megla mentioned last week. In China, it really doesn't matter because the Shanghai port, all the ports in the Eastern Seaboard, they're as efficient as one another. So if you're shipping from any of those ports in China down to Malaysia, it's not going to be much different, or to USA or to Europe, there's not going to be any difference. What matters for the factory is that they can bring, it's better to ask the factory to send it closest to their port. It's cheaper for them. It's much cheaper for them. And you don't want them adding on extra charges because you're asking them to send it to another port that's not close to the factory. Okay, what else? What else? Other people, please. Nicole, what's on your mind about this learning from this experience? Hello.
I guess for myself is I actually negotiate and trying to get more information from the supplier. So I actually for that particular quotation that I chose, I probably spent about an hour with her chatting on Alibaba Messenger. Yeah.
Wow.
So it's a negotiations and the way trying to dig more information. And
okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Let me ask a simple question. How many of you thought about the price when you're comparing the suppliers? No one mentioned price. Did you ever think about that?
I did mention that.
Okay. All right. You got the teacher wrong, Admin. Ahmad.
Yes.
All right. Kudos to you. Well done. But one person mentioned price. Okay. Why shouldn't you mention price when you're comparing supplies? Why shouldn't you compare?
Yeah, I know it's bad.
Why shouldn't you compare on price first up? Remember, we looked at the product, the location, certification, sustainability, payment terms. We haven't even mentioned the price yet. Why didn't we do that? Why do you think?
Yeah, because there is a lot of factors affecting to the price. I mean, the total price that you see, it's not straight up the price that you have to pay. So yeah, more things into consideration.
True. And the prices you see here, maybe you get one order with them, right? And then you go to do the next order because now you trust them so much because you got a good price. suddenly it's 10% more. And you're thinking, but it's going to cost me more to try and find another supplier now. I might as well just pay the extra 10%. So you don't know. The price is never a good indication of whether a supplier is good or not.
Yep.
Sometimes they put in a low price to catch you, you know, like a fish trap. And once they catch you, you're stuck because you've invested all this time and energy and resources to decide, oh, there's our supplier. And then that costs you money if you want to change suppliers. So in theoretical terms, those interested in theory, what that does is it creates switching costs. If you switch from one supplier to another, then you've got to do recertification, you've got to recheck, you've got to start to build up the trust again, you've got to go through the whole process again, and that costs you money, that costs you time. And then in the end, you might decide, oh, I'll just pay the extra 10% and be done with it. And you just wish you knew that at the start, but it's too late. They get you on the first order because they're cheap, and then you're stuck. So just that, be aware of that, and that's why you never do a comparison by looking at the price first. Always look for the product, apples to apples comparison. Look for the convenience. Make sure they're sustainable. Sustainability is probably a critical part, and that's what we're going to talk about today in the next section on negotiation. Now, just before we have a break, I just want to take you back to certification. How many of you, and I should give bonus marks for this because not many of you did this, how many of you provided FDA certification for the product? Sarah, congratulations. Anyone else? Put your thumb up. Haley, anyone else? Let me just, oh, we've got 3. How many? We've got 1, 2, Suit Kam Kong, Nicole. Okay, so there's about 6 of you, right? Very well done. I want you to think, why is FDA actually, and there's 1 or 2 of you just posted in a copy of what Alibaba website told you. Don't trust that. That will not get you a trusted supplier. You need to go one step further and actually go back to the supplier's own website and see what certificates they have there. Okay. Now, just getting back to the certification, why do you think FDA certification is important here? And probably more important than SGS? Or as important as a third-party auditor? Let's have a look here. Let's have a look, because here we go. Very, very quickly. Then we have a break. I'm waiting for your participation here. So column 13, yes, 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 yes. So only half of you got FDA approval certification. The reason why I mention that is FDA certification is really, really specific to the product. You with me? No, no, no. So if they don't have no, then maybe you've got to count that out. Many of you chose number 21, right? But it doesn't have any FDA approval. What's going on here? Okay, so what do we mean by FDA approval? Well, I want to show you. Let's have a look at this famous one, the 2 students, one number 28 and 31. Who did better out of those 2? See, I can compare 2 students, apple to apples comparison now. Why? Because you both chose the same supplier. So which one got you more information? Do you think it's the same? Oh, $99 door to door. This is interesting. Most of it's the same, but they got FDA certification. A little bit more information in here. All right. What I'm going to do now is take this. Can you see what I'm doing here? Can you see what I'm doing here? All right, I'm saving. What I'm doing is copy. All right, I'm copying. Now, I just want to show you a little trick. I'm going to go to the FDA website to find out if that FDA certification is real. How many of you did that? Did any of you think to do that? Because it's so easy to copy certificates. Hello? Haley, did you do that? All right. So what we're going to do is in this database, we're going to search the data. Now, this is the FDA. All of you can access this. And we can actually type in, copy in that exact company that says they have FDA certification. And then we go search. There it is. Wow. Wow. How many of you thought to do that? Like, that will be the best thing to do to really find out if they are certified, okay? Because you've got FDA registration number, and then we click on that and we get more information. And so there's a more genuine source of information that the company is what they say they are. Wow. Can you do that? This is free to do, remember? So what you find was, so just summarizing what you have done. Number one, I've asked you to get copy and paste certifications. All right. I didn't ask you to go and verify the certification. That's all right. I want you to just think, okay, that would be the next step you would do. They say they have this certification. Maybe we can go to the website where we can verify this certification. And that's what that would be the next step you do, just to make sure that we can verify that. Okay, so congratulations on all your efforts in getting this quotation. You've done very, very well. What we're going to do now is have a break for about 7 minutes. And when we come back, we're going to go into the area of negotiation. And the great thing about the area of negotiation is exactly what we're going to be doing is looking at how you can negotiate with suppliers. And the last thing we're going to be looking at is you negotiate on price, and we'll tell you all about that. So let's have a break. It's been a wonderful exercise to go through this and to see that, wow, it's a little bit more complicated when it comes to, if you were to start in a supply chain unit in a multinational today, you might be doing something like this tomorrow. Okay. And if my advice to you is, you're not doing it for a grade when you're actually working for a company. So always try and go the extra mile to get more information rather than less information when you're actually in employment and you're asked to get information and do investigations of suppliers. So just keep that in mind. And you can always go to the next degree by going to various third-party websites to double check the certifications that they have. Okay, see you back in about 7 minutes. 8, I'll give you 8 minutes. 8 is a lucky number in Chinese, so 8 minutes. Okay, see you soon. Thank you very much.
Hi, Dr. Nina.
We're back again. Excellent. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. I just want to get the PowerPoint set up and let's move into week 4. Sharing the screen here. Okay, notice it's changed to week 4. How convenient. Okay, so there's our request for quotation, and this is ongoing information that will go into what we're talking about. What I'm going to cover is the 3-circle control framework. Have you all watched the video that was taken for me in the trade show? I think the video goes for about 19 minutes. Did you watch that on the 3-circle control framework? Okay. And you probably think, oh, this is just so simple. What is the 3-circle control framework? Well, it's a way of, when I talk to buyers or clients, it's a way of getting them to think about where are they strong, where are they weak, and how can I help them? Do they need help in all 3 circles, or is it one particular circle they need help? And so this is a way of focusing your attention on a particular problem area that needs to be solved. So if you're in consulting, this is perfect for that. And so first of all, we're going to take it very, very quickly about structuring the relationship. And that's where it's all about asking lots of questions. You just did that in the last week when you were asked to create a request for quotation. Basically, a request for quotation is you asking lots of questions. Okay, not just the price, it's a location, a certification, the age of the factory, how many employees, and it went on and on and on and on. I think we had about 15 rows of information that I asked you to put in there just now. Most of you were able to fill in most of those rows. Congratulations. But that's what it's all about. When we start a relationship, it's about asking lots and lots of questions. More so than anything else. Question on the show floor, question in the factory visit, questions in negotiations, questions to enhance the supplier's business model. And we're going to show you that tonight. But when we go to due diligence and legal documentation, now that's where you talk about the contract, and that's where you talk about the legal side of it. Your request for quotation is part of this area here. You're following me here. All right. This is not, your request for quotation is not down here. All right. So what you've done tonight, your comparison, maybe you've chosen 3 suppliers, 21, 31, 29, most popular suppliers tonight. Well, okay. Then the next stage is maybe we need to visit those factories, which is part of part 1. But then we need to think about, wait a minute. We need to think about, okay, go to the next step where we actually do a due diligence audit or think about intellectual property if the product warrants that, or warranties or ADR clauses. There are many different things you need to think about in this circle, but it depends on the product that you are sourcing. And then finally, product inspection, lab testing, which is probably going to be very, very critical for any product. Okay, so what is this here? This is my, how many of you watched this video? Do we have thumbs up? Hello, some of you watched it?
That's a good start. My name is Assia Benmechtu. I'm the editor of Rag Trader magazine, and I will also be introducing the first speaker of the day. So first off, welcome to the Global Sourcing Seminars program. Our first speaker today is Dr. Neil G. O'Connor from Monash University, Malaysia, who will be presenting on something that every fashion, footwear, accessories business wants to know: how to maximize your supplier negotiations to get the best outcome. In this session, he will discuss the 3 big areas of negotiation when it comes to sourcing from overseas suppliers in order to optimize your business. I can't wait for this one. Please welcome Neil.
Okay, thank you so much. Good to be back in Melbourne again. Okay, so I had to do an introduction, right? Like, it's just got to make it feel very grand. And that presentation was given to about 150 buyers in the footwear and fashion industry. That was in Melbourne, Australia, just over 18 months ago. You're probably wondering, what am I doing talking about electronics to the footwear and fashion industry? But negotiation, what I'm going to talk about tonight about negotiation, it can apply across many, many industries. It's not just, you know, electronics, even though I may have electronic examples in tonight's session. But very, very important to think about. Once, you know, I ask buyers to think about, okay, you really, really want to source from China and you want to go direct, or you want to source from India and you want to go direct. And I ask them, why do you want to go direct? And you tell me, why do you think buyers want to go direct instead of going through an agent? Why do you think? Hello?
Save cost. Save the middleman cost.
Yeah, which can be 20, 25%. That's a lot of money. And so everyone wants to go direct because they want to go around the middleman. And what they don't realize is that often the middleman helps you in the top circle, the bottom side circle, and the bottom other side circle. It relieves you of the frustration of having to find the right supplier. It relieves you of the frustration of having the right legal terms. It relieves you of the frustration of having to do a factory audit. They don't understand that, it's costing me 25% if I go through a middleman. I can save that money. Yeah, but you don't save 25%. You end up spending a lot more money on other things. And on top of that, you have headaches, because now you're an importer of record, and if something goes wrong with that product, then they sue you. They don't sue, you cannot go back to the middleman. And it's very hard to have recourse with a factory in India or a factory in China if something goes wrong. You with me here? So I have that conversation with a lot of buyers. You know, middlemen and agents, they're not that bad after all. Okay, so think about that. All right, so here's patience. And
hi, this is O'Connor at Global Sources Trade Show, March 2017 edition. I'm with Patience of Lang.
Wait a minute, let me just go back a bit. Yep.
All in the one building. Anyway, here they've got lots of headphones. And hi, this is O'Connor at Global Sources Trade Show, March 2017. I'm with Patience of Lang. Everyone knows the of Lang brand.
Okay, so why am I showing you this? Actually, this is a brief introduction, because one of the groups will be presenting a comparison of these two headphone manufacturers next week. Can you put your hand up if you're in that group? Who's presenting this comparison of Lang and Aoni? Who's doing that one? Which group? Hello? Hello? Alifia? Yes, anyone else?
Our
yes.
group, sir.
Ashley, okay, yeah, okay. So I won't give you a plot away, but you can use this at the start of your presentation next week, because you need to make sure, I'm just helping the class be warmed up for what you need to do next week. But you know, so, you know, when you're in a trade show, this is what you see. You see lots of different suppliers with lots of different products, and you're trying to do a comparison. But it's not until you go to the factory where you can see the difference between where you actually see the two different factories. And, you know, the group can present those two factories next week. But the big point I want to make here is that no two factories are the same. You may have the same product at the trade show, but the factories may be largely different when you go visit the factory. And not until you visit. So, you know, what was suggested in that first circle, you have to ask lots of questions on the trade show floor. You have to have lots of questions in the factory visit, and then lots of questions in negotiation. And then you start to think about how you can enhance the supplier's business model. So here's an example of comparisons that you can do. This is what I told buyers. When you go around the trade show, do exactly what you did in the first hour tonight. That is, you have all of the different features of your product on the side. And here's an example of a tablet PC. And then we have, and this is what I did at one trade show, LCD resolution for manufacturer 1, 2, and 3. The speakers, how many watts? FCC CE, that's the certification for USA and Europe. Yes, no, yes. The contact name, the booth number, and then we can go further. HDMI license. Remember, this is an electrical product, not a medical product. What did we do for medical product? What were we looking for a medical product that's shipping to the USA? What certification were we after? What was that? I don't hear you. Yell it out, please.
FDA.
FDA. But this is electrical product. So do you think you need FDA? No,
Yeah.
but you maybe need HDMI. If you have an HDMI plug, then you need a HDMI license. So the supplier shows a certificate. What do you think you'll do? What do you do to verify the certificate?
Verify. Go into the websites. The online.
Which website? Which website would you go to?
Go to the verification website.
You'd go to HDMI website.
Yep.
And look for licensees of HDMI technology. Simple as that. Because if they're not there, remember, Xiaomi, they manufactured phones at a very thin margin for many, many years because their job was to get market share, right? Remember the innovation framework? Their job was not huge R&D. Their job was just to get more and more market share and get their valuation high and high and high because they got lots of venture capital funding. They didn't care to them to make money because they were selling a very cheap phone, and they had the gore to actually ship into India, but the Indian government closed them down. You know why? Hello. Some of the components inside their phones were not licensed. They didn't have the license. And, you know, there's various modules in the smartphone that the patents for are owned by Apple or Qualcomm or Sony Ericsson. And what they do is they'll go to the Indian Foreign Ministry and there's a product using our technology here and they're not licensed. And so suddenly just India close you down, just like that. So that's why if you don't have the license and you're using the technology, especially electronics, it's just like sending PPE into USA and you don't have FDA, exactly the same. All right, advertise, gigabyte, very low there, smart screen, custom, start screen customization would take 2 weeks, 1 month, 2 weeks. Name on the gift box, no name, yes, yes, yes. Battery usage, 6 hours, 3 hours, 6 hours. How do you test that? How do you test? They say, oh, ours goes for 6 hours. Do you believe that? Put your hand up. Put your hand up if you don't believe that. Come on. Show of hands, anyone? How do you test that? Joanne, how do you think you would test the battery life in a product?
I'm not sure.
It's very, very simple. You get 2 pillows, you put the tablet in between, and you play your favorite movie with the volume full, and you put it in a pillow, and you just let it play and just see how long it goes for. That's it. That's the only way you can really find out how long the battery lasts for. Only the top of the range manufacturers you could really trust, like Samsung or HTC or Apple, where you know that the battery life is really good. Why? Because they invest a lot in getting the best batteries. But if you're after a cheap tablet, don't expect they're going to have the expensive batteries inside. Okay. All right. Okay. So there, obviously this is exactly the same problem that you faced in the first hour. Oh, so which factory would you buy from? There you go. 1, 2, or 3. Which one would you choose from? Hands up for 1. Hello, can we have some participation, please? Hands up for 1. Hands up for 2. Hands up for 3. Agya, I see your thumb there. That's good. Okay. All right. Again, wow. You know, this is a multifaceted comparison you have to do. You have to think a bit, don't you? Because you're comparing lots of different factors. Jihan, do you see that? Jihan, you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. What do you think?
I'm going to select the third one.
The third one. Okay. All right. You like the LCD resolution? Or what appealed to you on the third one?
So it has the highest resolution, of course, and it has the highest gigabytes, and also the start screen customization is shortest, 2 weeks,
okay.
And also it can hide the HDMI license, just pay another 20K, and
yes.
The battery usage is also the longest. So yeah, it's the best solution, I think.
That's number 3. All right. Let's have more information on. Let's have a look. I didn't give you all the information yet, but there's some more information here. No, yes, yes. No, no, no. Minimum order, delivery time, production. So, you know, it's not until you have 2 or 3 suppliers lined up next to each other that you really want to pull the trigger on any major order when you're going direct to a factory. I think that's a big thing you need to take away tonight. But this is the start of your negotiation. Like, here's some more information on product 1, 2, manufacturer 1, 2, and 3. Payment, 30, 40, 30. Oh, that's perfect. This is your perfect payment terms. This is your perfect. They want 100% at the start? No way. 50%, 50, 50, possible, but 30, 40, 30 is a norm in a lot of different product sectors. Normally 30% at the beginning, so the supplier can invest in materials. And some of you are probably thinking, well, suppliers might just waste that money on some other manufacturing. Yes, they will. So then in the contract, you make it very, very specific that that initial deposit is to be used for the purchase of materials for your product. The 40% is normally at FOB, and then 30% is in your own port, like Malaysia or USA, Indonesia, India. Manufacturer number 1, 2, and 3, they had Toshiba, AC adapter. What do we mean? What does CE and UL mean? Have you heard of that before? Hello? We're going to go fast here.
I heard of UL.
All right. Yes.
Is for electrical, related to electrical components.
Correct. Yes.
The efficiency of electricity, I think.
Exactly. Yes. Especially the and so this is the AC adapter, and whenever you got a product that is, there's intentional radiators and unintentional radiators. So AC adapters are unintentional radiators, but because they're AC, they're running at 240 volts or 110 in the USA, then you need to have a certification. CE for Europe and UL is USA. Now, what do you think will happen if you don't, if you say that you are UL certified and then you put this number on the product and then you ship it to USA and it's not really certification. It's not really. It turned out to be fake. What do you think will happen? You buy the product, you ship it to USA, and on the back of the product, it says UL. It says UL and all the information about, remember on the back of products, you can see just there, like that's a recorder. See all the different things on the back of your product? Okay, and UL is just like that. And they even put numbers, you know, next to explain that that's the registration. I'll tell you a real story. So one of my clients, this is going back, I think, no, 3 years now, he imported power adapters into the USA. He sold 7,000 of them, and he had a UL mark on the power adapter. And with the number, and I found out that the number wasn't registered. And so what happened was that the UL contacted him and gave him an order to cease and desist and do a product recall of the 7,000 power adapters he sold. Wow, that costs a lot of money. Okay, so there's a lot of, once you get into some products, medical PPE, the FDA certification critical. Now you go to electrical, then there's other certifications you need to get. Wow, amazing. Okay, what else can you learn? This is something to help you in negotiations. What is this? What do you think this is?
The knife.
Yes. So if you were sourcing knives, don't you think it would be useful for you to go and visit which factory is, which certification company is this? Okay. Which one is it? Hello?
SGS.
Have you heard of that before? Have you seen it in any of your quotations?
Yes.
You have. Now you know what you're talking about, right? So you can go to SGS and ask them to give you specific details of, here's my product. Here's my product I'm making. Is a product that holds a phone, but it's metal and everything. Is there anything specific that I need to have certified to be in compliant for this product? And you can actually go to these laboratories, and that guy is teaching me about how to source knives. If I was to source knives, like kitchenware, then he's showing me now that you should not source the ceramic knives. The metal knife will not bend and break, but a ceramic knife will. Isn't that interesting? But, these people, they know the properties of these products you're sourcing. And I cannot tell you how ignorant buyers are when I tell them, go and talk to a third-party auditor. Go and talk to the laboratory. Don't just talk to the supplier. Go to the laboratory and learn about your product. Learn about what they're testing. Just be informed, as you're the buyer. You're going to be the importer of record in USA or Europe. So it's the third-party auditor. They're not the importer of record. Yeah, they do the test and they say it's okay, it passes, and so then you ship. But they're not the importer of record. You're the one that's liable. So that's what I tell buyers to do. Go and talk to the testing labs and get smart. Now we go to the factory, and here's our manufacturer 1, 2, and 3. Remember, some of you chose number 3, and notice the incoming parts inspection, QC document room, clean room. Yes, 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 yes. So suddenly manufacturer 3 is actually looking better than manufacturer 1 and 2. So then we go to the next stage and we start to think about, so what we've done for the last 2 hours is talk about a lot of factors, but basically we talked about a lot of non-price factors. But at one stage, we got to get to talking about price, right? Hello? Like the transaction is going to be made whole by me paying money to the supplier. So you cannot not talk about price. So how do you talk about price? Well, this is what unsuccessful buyers do not do. Can I see your cost breakdown, or can I see your QC sheet? In other words, unsuccessful buyers, they don't ask questions like this. They just say, what's your price? Or it's $1.20. Say, can you bring it down to $1? And they say, look, we'll give it to you for $1.10, and you sign the contract, and then you go away. Then you realize that the supplier is not sustainable at $1.10. they'll give it to you for $1.10, but they may delay their shipment because they use some of your money to pay for some wages, to pay for another order. You haven't invested time to understand about why they want $1.20. Say, oh, Mr. Supplier, yes, I'm happy to pay you $1.20, but I want to know why $1.20 is important to you. How does that make you sustainable? Why is that important price for you? You see what I mean? So that's the conversation you need to have about price. It's not about, oh, $1.20, oh, $1. How about we split the difference? Never do that. That's a one-shot deal. If you want to go back for the second order, third or fourth order, you never ever do that. Your job is to understand why the supplier needs $1.20. And if you want to bring them down to $1.10, can you help them save 10 cents per unit? If you can't, then they're going to take shortcuts somewhere else. They're going to take shortcuts without telling you. They might secretly outsource without telling you. All right, because they just wanted the deal. They just want you to pay the money. So this is what negotiation is about. Strategy one is thinking about, you need something to negotiate over. Okay, maybe you want $1, but the supplier wants $1.20. It's more important to understand, well, okay, that $1.20, how much is materials, processes, tooling, and overhead? Which one of these do you think, how many of you have studied accounting? Which one of these do you think is more invisible to you, the buyer? Hands up for materials. I think it's easy to find out how much materials cost because you can actually go to materials suppliers. Processes, yeah, you can find out how much the labor rates are. You know how many people in the factory. What about tooling? That's the tricky one, the tooling, because, and I'll give you an example of tooling. Tooling costs about, easily can cost 50,000 yuan for a basic tooling to go in a injection molding machine. 50,000 yuan. We're talking about $8,000 US. Okay, that's just to get started. All right, for injection molding. All right, and if the supplier can say, well, you know, we're going to do the tooling, it's going to cost us $8,500 US. And you say, look, can you, why is it costing you 8,500? You don't have any basis. Like, how do you know? You don't know. You with me? But with labor, you know the wage rates. With materials, you can check with a third party. But with the tooling, suppliers will always get you on a tooling. So that's why it's nearly impossible to negotiate with suppliers from a position of power, because the suppliers always have some invisible information that you will never know. Wow, that's amazing. And when we go into week 10 and 11, I'll tell you what the multinationals do to overcome that information disadvantage. And it's very, very interesting. We'll come back to that. All right, so you need something to negotiate over. You want to make the negotiation beyond cost. It needs to be broader than that. And you need to think about how you can help the supplier save money, or how you can bring more value to the supplier. So you're expanding the value creation between you as a partnership. And I talked about that in the video. It was important that you talked about that. You went through that video today. All right, so what we're going to do now is show you, in negotiation, you need to understand the supplier's business model. So I want to show you two business models of two factories. And I want you to tell me, thumbs up for the top one, thumbs to the bottom one, and hands for the top one. Okay, which one do you think is the high-end factory, and which one do you think is the low-end factory. You with me? Which one has low margins? Which one do you think has higher margins? Are you ready? Okay. Okay, the one at the top is making car audio equipment for cars, for car manufacturers. The one at the bottom is making, you guessed it, USBs. USBs for clubs and associations. They're both making money. They're both profitable. Which one do you think has a higher margin? I can't hear you.
The top one?
Top one. Yeah. It's definitely a B2B relationship. The one at the bottom, they're just selling to clubs and associations. Actually, the one at the bottom, they don't really care about the quality of their product. Do you know why?
It's only as gifts.
It's only a gift. So if you get a USB as a gift and it doesn't work, are you going to complain?
No.
So that's a good business to have, isn't it? Right? To make a product that no one complains about. With the one at the top is doing B2B supply to car manufacturers. Notice when you look, this is a hint for the case study presenters next week onwards. Notice the documentation at the top is very, very important in understanding how well a factory is. This one here is unbelievably, things are lying around everywhere. It's dirty. There's no cleanliness going on, but they're making lots of money, $3 million US a year. This factory, it profits, amazing. So you cannot compare factory A with factory B. There are no two factories are the same. They all have business models. They're all making money somehow. So the art of your negotiation, here's the point I want you to take away, is forget about what you want. You've got to understand what the supplier wants. You've got to understand, well, how is the supplier making money? All right? And until you get to that stage, you're going to lose any negotiation. Okay? There's various tips here I want to take. So now, and it's near the top of the hour, and we're going into that hour. So I'll just give you some tips for factory visits. And I want this to this will actually overflow into the case presentations that start next week. Are you ready, groups that are presenting next week and onwards? I can see some of you smiling, getting ready for those presentations. Okay, so what do you do with the factory? We'll just remind you for the case study presentation, especially for next week and the week after. I've asked the groups to look at a heap of videos of two factories and they have to compare them. And I gave a checklist to look for in the factory. Now, your presentation is very, very quick, like it's only 12 minutes, so you're not going to present for too long. So you cannot, I'm not expecting to identify everything here, but you may highlight 4 or 5 of these items as a comparison between the two factories. Okay, so just it's a message into all the class, but also specifically to the two groups that will be presenting next week. Okay, so let me go into that. Using factory visit to help negotiations. All right, just remind what we said earlier, you know, pre-factory visit, do they have a QC system in place? Do they have certifications? Right, you know that because you're asking for certifications like you did in the first hour this evening, and then you can check those certifications against the website, or you can go and talk to a third-party testing lab like SGS that they have a certification with, and actually double check with them. But when you go to the factory visit, now is when you look, you need to put your operational hat on. It's very operational management oriented. And it's very important here that, you need to pay attention to materials receiving or the packaging, storage and separation of components, especially. Dust-free zones, anti-static, finger gloves, burn-in room rejects, who is the factory owner. I think these are the main things that I would summarize to look for when visiting the factory, especially electronics component factory, because in the end, you don't want a product that looks like this, right? With a bird with a dog head, right? You're going to get something that you're not expecting. Very, very critical. All right, so I've already given you an example of this, but I'll show this again. So this is receiving inspection. This is an example that you presenters next week and the week after can talk about. So this is my 1 minute of talking about these two areas. Here we're comparing two factories and we're looking at receiving inspection. What's important here is that the one at the top is using a machine to actually test every item, every battery that goes into this 20 battery pack, which is 4.4 ampere hours in charge, and that goes into the Hoover board. And so the one at the bottom is just receiving the battery pack with Samsung printed on the outside. I don't know if Samsung, you don't know either. And so you need to talk to the supplier. How do they know it's from Samsung? Do they have evidence to show that? And maybe you have a cheaper product. Maybe you're paying $200 US per unit less than the one at the top, and that may be the reason why. But at least with the one at the top, you have more assurance that the battery, being a very, very important component of your product, is being assembled properly. And you would expect the one at the top to have, which one would you expect to have a higher FOB price? Which one? The factory at top or factory at the bottom?
Top one.
The factory at the top. There you go. Because you see that they're paying more attention to the materials that are coming into the factory. And so groups you're presenting next week, notice I gave a presentation. I talked about a particular element that you look for when you're visiting a factory. Then number 2, I did the comparison of the two. And number 3, I followed up with a question to the class to ask them to think about. And so there was an interactive component with my 1 minute presentation of this slide. And that's basically all you have to do. You've got 4 members of your group. Each of your members do one of these each, and then you summarize it at the end with question time, and that's your presentation. Okay. Does that give you some more flavor of what we're looking for? All right, here's another example of separation, okay? Okay, here's another way of presenting groups. You're presenting next week. Class, I'm going to show you 2 examples of 2 factories. I need you to tell me which one do you think has operations that are deliberately deployed to separate the components and the products during the assembly stage, during the materials handling, during the assembly. Which one? Factory at the top or the factory at the bottom? And the factory at the top, we can use the hand. The factory at the bottom, we can use the thumb. Are you ready? And in Chinese, 準備好了? Okay, good. All right, so let's roll the tape. Which one practices separation of the components and the product manufacture? Quick. Indicate as soon as possible. As soon as you get it, tell me. Wave for the top and thumb for the bottom.
Thumb for the bottom.
What's the thumb for? Okay, the thumb for the bottom one, lots of thumbs. Okay, and what about the one at the top? That is amazing. I cannot believe I went to do it. Look at that, unbelievable. Look at that, just stacked on top of each other. Can you believe that? That's amazing. That is just a cause for concern. Whereas the one at the bottom, look at that. Look how different it is. I can't believe that the one at the top gets away with what they are doing. And basically the one at the top is that, do you know which one at the top, which factory that is? Do you think it's a USB manufacturer or that high-end car audio manufacturer?
Audio.
It's the car audio manufacturer. Can you believe that? It's the car audio manufacturer. But they still have challenges with separation. The one at the bottom, they're making smartphones, and look at that. Notice they have the foam, they're separating the products. Everything's very, very clear. Notice there's see that blue thing on the lady here? That's the anti-static wristband. See that? Okay, very, very critical. Okay, and so, you know, there's lots of different things we can look for as we go through here. Okay, so let's just go on. Aoni, one of the group is presenting Aoni next week, so I won't give the spot away for Aoni. But here's an example of the car audio manufacturer again. What else can you do with negotiation? Let's just summarize this because we're at the top of the hour now. Let's summarize negotiation. What is the big thing that I ask that you do with negotiation? What's the big thing you're focusing on? It starts with Q. What's that word? Come on, yell it out, please. Hello?
Quotation?
No.
Quality.
Q. No. Come on. Pardon?
Questions?
Questions. Always ask lots and lots of questions. Okay? Lots and lots of questions. All right? Don't even just say, oh, what's your price? Here's my price. Like you've lost to start with. You ask questions. You ask questions at trade show. You ask questions at factory visit. And, you know, next week, we'll be asking lots of questions about the two factory comparisons that each of the groups are doing. Okay. Because the good thing about comparisons you're doing next week is the two factories are both making similar products. Okay, I've showed you factories here that are making different products, but I'm just wanted to indicate to you that, you know, you're looking for, you're asking questions about separation. You're asking questions when you're in the factory about anti-static wristbands. You're asking questions about the cleanliness of the factory. You're asking questions about what about the labor conditions? Are the people that work in the factory, are they treated well? Do they look happy? Maybe they're not happy. Do they, right? It's not about that, but, you know, is there a clean environment for them to work in? Okay. So once you get to that, can you do even more? Well, here's an example, and this is where I think where you can take your negotiation to the next level. And then we'll have a break after I go through this. This is where you actually start to help the supplier and help them think differently about how they can make improvements. And again, you're asking questions. So I just want to show you what I'm doing here. Just have a look. Remember, this is the car audio. What do you think this is? What is this? You don't have to read Chinese. I want you to guess. What do you think it is?
A logbook.
Checklist.
It's a notebook. What are they noting?
It looks like the defect. Not maybe a summary report on every hour.
Very good. Yeah, 8 to 9, 9 to 10, 10 to 11, 11 to 12, right? And then you got 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You with me? You got, these are defects. Defects. Okay. All right. That means some things are going wrong, right? And so a big idea I want you to think about is there's no factory you go to that's perfect. maybe the one I showed you earlier, the smartphone, but very few factories are perfect. There's always going to be, so this is an area where you can help the supplier. You can, and what I do here is I'm about to show you the video. I say, okay, what is this defect here? And it turns out to be where you put the mini SD card into the front of the radio player in the dashboard. And when you put it in, it doesn't fit or it doesn't slip in properly. And so what I do is, okay, let's go back to where that defect could have occurred. It could have occurred at one place. It could have occurred when they were screwing the base plate onto the front plastic cover and there's misalignment. Or it could have occurred when they were soldering the slide-in unit for the SD card, right? So then what I do in this video, I go back and have a look. Let's have a look at where they're screwing the base plate, and let's have a look where they're soldering, and let's see what the problem is. Are you ready? Let's have a look. Okay, so we're having a look at this now. Assembly, where you put the actual mini SD card in here. Assembly part where this is screwed on, right? Yeah. So who does that? Where is that? That's done up there, right? Yeah. Did you hear what I just said? Right? I'm asking them, okay, it's a screwing process. I think it's out of alignment. And so then I ask the manager, who does the screwing? Okay, and did you hear? Did you notice I asked that? Can you hear what I'm saying? Yes or no?
Yes.
All right. I'll reply it again. I want you to hear what I ask. Yeah. So who does that? Where is that? That's done up there, right? Yeah. Huh? So we're going up here, and so probably this. Yeah, that's the problem. This is very important. Yes. So, where is he? All right. So what I do then, that's all right, we're still here. What I do then is I suggest maybe you should put a cradle for where they do the screwing so the thing doesn't rock. And so then you get less variability in the attachment of the base plate to the back plate. You with me here? Now, class, I want to, please, this is negotiation. This is, you know, this sounds very operational management, but this is where you get into the real guts of how you can help the supplier when, if you can give some operational help, then you can help save the supplier money. Can you see how that can help you in developing the relationship? Right. So we're not even talking about price here. We're in the factory and we're helping the supplier think about how to save money. Wow, can you do that? Why not? Yeah, and so probably this. Yeah, let's go and see the soldering person now. Are you ready? So where is he? Let's go and see the soldering person now. All right, what's the problem here? What's the problem here with the solder? Sorry, what's the problem with the solderer here? Come on. Interactive, please.
I think I'm not an electronic student or whatever, but
you don't
I
have
think,
to be.
Yeah, but I think the thing that he is soldering at the motherboard probably is not going to stay there permanently, or it like moving a little bit. So when he using his hand to apply those things, it move a little bit. That's what I think.
It's number one. What else?
Ergonomic, he doesn't look too comfortable, like the positioning of
ergonomics. Number two. What else?
There isn't any safety suit.
Yeah, wear gloves.
Maybe safety.
The safety equipment.
What safety equipment?
Like
the goggles that cover your face.
Or
the face shield,
or the fan. You know, the fan is sucking the air away, but really you need a better, something better than that. Okay, but does he have an anti-static wire on him? Yes or no?
No.
No. Okay, so there's none of you are studying electrical engineering or operations, but can you see how easy it is to identify things?
This one looks to me is just if a normal engineer who doing some testing of that equipment inside his office, yes, this is acceptable. But if this is applied in the factory, then it's totally not acceptable.
Yeah, we know that. We know that, but it's not going to change, all right? As soon as you leave the factory, it's going to continue doing this unless you are really genuine about helping the supplier, okay? So your job here is not just to pick holes in them, but just to really genuinely help them, all right? So let's see what
that's not easy. Okay, so when he's soldering, you see how it's moving around? If they had some little cradle, then he just puts it in and it doesn't move, it might make it easier for him to, do you know what I mean? Okay. So one less thing that's moving. You know, at the moment, 3 things moving: the solder, the iron, and the thing at the bottom.
Okay, so, this is negotiation, because what you're doing is getting to the heart of what is costing the supplier money. Remember, you go back 4 minutes before that, or look at all the rejects they were having every hour. All right, so that's product that goes on the trash heap, but that costs the supplier money. All right, so no wonder why you're paying 10% more FOB. So this is real negotiation. What can you do after that? Then you can do what I do here.
So first of all, early processes in here,
I'm not going to play all this, but here is I'm giving advice to the supplier about how they should reconfigure what materials they order in order to speed up their lead time, which they're having a big problem with their major customers. And so I'll send you the link in YouTube where this is in YouTube, and you can watch that. And so this is me not negotiating with the supplier saying, can you give me a cheaper price? Here's me helping the supplier again about how they can improve what they're doing. Okay. It doesn't have to be a Chinese supplier. This could be in any country. It's not about that, all right? It's all about thinking about negotiation in another way. So it's 9:16. Let's just have a break for 10 minutes and we'll come back and then we'll finish up. But the big thing I want you to take away is that negotiation is more than what Harvard Business School teaches you. Harvard Business School is all about a partner. That is the best alternative to a negotiated agreement. That is, you go into negotiation having power of, if you don't take my price, I'll go to another supplier. Well, that's never a sustainable negotiation strategy. What I did show you instead was you go in with a questioning attitude. You go, and when you go to the factory, you go with an attitude to think about how you can actually help the supplier, and even going as far to thinking about, well, using the rejects as a point of where improvements can be made while you're there. Okay, so let's have a break for 10 minutes and we'll come back.
Dr. Neil, I have a question.
Yes, Jason, please.
Can you speak and read Chinese?
Can I speak and read Chinese? No.
Okay.
No, I'm speak a bit of Chinese, but not really. Not that good.
Gotcha.
Yeah, 一点点讲国语啊. Okay, just a little bit. 識講少少廣東話. Okay. Thank you, Jason. Yes. So I don't think it matters whether you can speak the language or not. It's about your genuine feeling of wanting to help. If you're going to have a sustainable relationship, then these are ways that you can do that. But yeah. Okay. Shall we have a break? Okay, good. Okay, let's have a break and we'll come back in 10 minutes. What do you think? Okay, good. All right, see you soon. Thank you, Alifa.
Hi, sir. I have a question.
Oh, sure. Yes.
Yeah, it's actually regarding the presentation because my group will be the following week after next week.
Yes.
So I was wondering where could we access. Yeah, so I was wondering where could we have the access to the video to watch regarding
For week 6.
Yes, correct.
Correct. Okay. What we'll do is I'd like to set up a meeting time so I can discuss with your group. I think there's 2 groups for week 5. 5 is next week. They're set. Week 6 is the week after. Let's have a look.
Yeah, week 6.
Sir?
Hi.
Hi. Sorry, but like, can I ask about the dust-free zone?
Yes.
Okay, so would you expect something like this factory has a dust-free zone and this factory does not have a dust-free zone, and the importance of dust-free zone, or are there any particulars that you wanna find in dust-free zone? Like, what exactly is the...
It depends. When Nada, are you are you presenting next week?
Yes.
Which factories are you presenting next week?
The smart, the smartwatch factory.
Yeah, actually, if you watch the videos, there's a. I talk about that a little bit. I think technically, if you look at the Aoni video in this PowerPoint slide, a dust-free zone is where you actually have to go into like a telephone booth, and for 20 seconds they just blow air that circulates for about 20 seconds, and you go out the other end, and then you go into a zone where there's no dust, right? Or the air quality is much higher because you've gone through. But if you just open a door and go through the door, then there's no dust-free zone happening. The 2 factories that you're comparing, the 2 smartwatch factories, right?
Yes.
I think technically both of them don't have the dust-free zone.
That's what I was.
But you can you make a note of that. But one of them, I think they're making the smartwatches they were taking smartwatches out to the administration area to test the Bluetooth.
Yes.
Which seemed very strange because the administration area may be have other contaminants that are not observable in the assembly area. So yeah. So that's a point you can make as a comparison.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Did you see that in the video?
Yes, and they
Yeah.
told you due to the like because it interferes, the Bluetooth
I
interferes.
know, but but you shouldn't take it to administration. Administration is not an assembly area, you know. You know.
Oh, that's why you had that look on your face where you were not so impressed.
Yeah. Yeah. And I stopped them and said, what's going on here?
Yeah.
It's funny. So, anything can happen when you go to a factory. Nada?
Yeah.
And I think this is part of what makes the case study interesting, because you know, there's nothing more real than the actual factories that we've videoed here.
Yeah, that's true.
So many buyers I run into, and the biggest mistake that they make, just general conversation now, is they think that they can, the third-party auditor, they can visit the factory. I don't have time to visit the factory. And what they miss is visiting the factory helps you develop a relationship too. If you send a third-party auditor, then the supplier never gets to meet you. How on earth can you develop a relationship?
That's true.
It's always, of course, you can't do it now because of COVID, but hopefully in years to come we can. It's a challenge. And I think someone asked a question about the videos.
Yeah,
what's your name?
Haley.
Haley. And you're doing
Week 6.
week
group.
6.
Yeah.
What's the name of your factory videos?
Hot versus XKL Tech.
Yep. And what's the other one? Is it HOTT? Is it hot?
HOTT.
Oh, Bluetooth. I love they're great factory videos, then.
Tale
Wow.
of Two Factories, HOTT versus XKL Tech.
You'll love them. It's here we are. Haley, can you see my shared screen?
Yep.
Let me just okay, so if we click on here, there's a group of videos for one, group of videos for another, and very, very good, both of them. Great comparison. So what I can do is we meet in a group briefly, and I can then send me an email, and then I can share with you the link, so you can now. This is for everyone to listen. The link I'll give you will allow you to say play the factory video like this. Okay.
So sorry to interrupt, but I did actually send you an email this afternoon. Maybe you might.
Well, that's all right. It's the afternoon, very, very busy. The afternoon with signing documents. Sorry about that. But
it's all right.
So
marking a sign.
I think the big thing here is, like, there's a video there, so I'm not asking you to download the videos, but I'm asking you to install Snagit, which is this little thing here, and you can capture. You click on video and then you capture, and then you can capture some part of the video that you think is relevant to show in your presentation. But this, Yeah, this factory is a very famous one in my YouTube videos, so I think you should have fun with that one. Okay, so just resend me the email. Just tell me which case you're looking at, and then I'll send you the link. And then we can follow up with a meeting later in the week if you have further questions.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I'll resend you the email.
What else? Tile 2 speakers, smart headphones, earphone, picture frame. Okay, so let's have a look at the PowerPoint here. Negotiation. So we're back. Are we all back? Everyone back from their break? Great, great, great. All right. So, you know, last session, negotiation, it's about questioning. It's actually going beyond the price. It's about finding out, well, how sustainable is that supplier really? I'll just give you a final comparison you think about. Here are 2 factories that I audited for a client. Going back a couple of years, but there's one product. And the question I'd give to you is, okay, which one would you buy from? Okay. And you've already seen one of the factories before, so may give it away, but you can see that this is a, and then 4 hours. So this is a burn-in room. That's one more thing I just want you to think about. With electronics, the products need to be plugged in and charged up and then used for 4 hours or 6 hours, depending on what the product is. And that's normal in electronics manufacturing. So, they're keeping records, they've got the burning going on, so there's no difference here. But they all look pretty well set up together. This is just the ex-post negotiation strategy. Like someone asked about
the windows,
the dust. This factory at the top
not a dust-free area. That's a challenge.
Had windows opening, so there's all dust coming in from outside into this room, which is not a good thing. So, but here is how you create a dust-free zone. So you go into this
dust area.
Room here, and it'll blow for 15 seconds. Right? And then you go into the other area. Okay, we're right. Okay. And so that's, the dust-free zone is in here now, so it's much cleaner. And actually, this clean room here is actually cleaner than the clean room that I'm standing in here. And this lady here has put in the TFT module on the actual smartphone, which shows how high-tech that assembly operation is.
So it's adhesive on it, and so then there's a surface now.
Okay, so I just wanted to show you a comparison. These are 2 factories that I went to for picture frame manufacturer. So this was the final product here. And in 2 weeks' time, we'll spend a little bit more on this, but because we talk about the auditing process. But there's the picture frame that we're talking about. And they both make the identical picture frame. But one was more expensive than the other. Which one do you think is going to be more expensive? The factory at the top or the factory at the bottom? Hands up for the bottom and wave for the top.
26. 26 US dollar FOB.
This is cheaper.
This is your.
Which factory is going to be more expensive? FOB.
And also all
one at the bottom.
All the guts of it are in here, right? But very hot.
Maybe it has but it's normal working temperature.
Normal working, yeah.
Right. So I'm still talking about how I was telling them that this picture frame was very, very hot, and they may want to actually redesign it so it doesn't get as hot, because they've made the electrical component at the back of the frame very, very small. So there's less heat sink and it actually gets hotter. Okay, but here's what happened when we were talking to the buyer. Okay, so I can ask you, out of all of these, in the end, the factory at the top did FOB was 20 and the FOB for the one at the bottom was 23. Okay, same identical product. So which one would you source from? Which one would you choose? Everyone needs to choose. Okay, wave for the top one and thumbs for the bottom one. Come on, everyone, you need to make a choice now. Thumb for the bottom one, that means you're paying $3 FOB more per unit. Okay, wave for the top one, it's $20 US. No one's waving. Why not? Ginny, are you going to make a choice too? All right. Anyone else? Okay, so everyone's choosing the bottom one. You're happy to pay 20. So if we're going to order 5,000 units and you're paying $3 more, how much more expensive that's going to be? That's $15,000 US more. Do you still want to do that? Who wants to change their mind? Anyone? Hello? Someone want to go to the top one now? Okay. All right. In the end, my client, he ended up choosing the one at the bottom and paying $23 US. What do you think is going to happen? Which one is more powerful, the one at the top or the one at the bottom? Which one's more powerful, do you think? Which supplier? The one at the bottom. You saw that. Like, they were the one that had better attention to detail here. They're the one that had the better burn-in room. They're the one that had lots of things that were running. They had the clean room. This one didn't have a clean room. This one, look at, they've got a fan here. Oh my gosh, it's amazing. All right. So you can see that there's two different qualities here, but this one's $3 yet less. Anyone want to say 15,000 for your first order from this bottom one, for the top one? Wouldn't you do that?
That's not beneficial for the long term, right?
I don't know. Sarah, what else would you say? Think about this. You know what? Okay, so this is what happened. All right, so the buyer paid $23 US on the first order. On the second order, they put it up to $26 US. And the third order, 28. Of course, it was a different model, but the price just kept on going up and up. Why do you think that happened? Remember, tonight's about negotiation, all right? You want a lower price, but all of you ended up choosing the one that the more powerful factory, and you're happy to pay 23 versus 20. Why did you choose that over this one? And then this is what happened. So what are you going to do now? So the buyer came back to me after this happened. So what would you advise the buyer to do? Come on, this is real. What would you do?
Alternative.
An alternative? Explain a bit more. What do you think I told the buyer to do?
Negotiate.
Too late. Look, you've paid 5,000 times $3 more, 15,000. Now you're paying 6 times 5,000. Now you're paying $30,000 more. $45,000 US more, right? Yes or no? Sorry, 2,000. So you had 6,000 here, and now another 6 times 2. There's 12. There's $18,000, and now you got to pay even more, pricing you out. So what I told the buyer, I want you to pay attention now. We'll take home. Remember, tonight's about negotiation. All right. If you just focus on price, you will lose. But if you focus on non-price factors, you still may lose. Okay. All right. So what I'm saying, yes. Anyone comment? All right. What I'm saying here, what I did do is, let's go back to the first one. Let's go back to this supplier and do $20 US FOB for their price. But why don't you invest? You're ordering 2,000 units every 2 months. So why don't you invest, say, half a US dollar per unit in third-party inspection? Now, normally you send a third-party inspector to this factory. It's $299 for 1 day, and they'll inspect a certain quality of the 2,000 units. They'll inspect, say, 100 units out of 2,000. What I did say is, why don't you pay for 3 days of the inspector? So then that's going to cost you $1,000. You're ordering 2,000, so that's 50 cents per unit. You're with me here, right? So that's $20.50. And now you've got assurance with the third-party inspector, because the third-party inspector is inspecting 300 units, not just 100 units. Even though you feel that, well, the factory, that there may be, and those 300 units, if nothing wrong with those 300, then it's all right. It's likely you pull the trigger and then you order the whole 2,000. And that's what I told the buyer to do. You see? So there's ways of getting around a bad factory by investing more in third-party inspection. Yeah. So negotiation, when it comes to the supply chain, there's many different ways that you can find a solution to source from a supplier that fits your budget, because very few buyers can survive this kind of inflation when you're sourcing from them. Because maybe you're just making $5 US or maybe $10 US a unit. Suddenly it goes up to 8. Now you're only making $5 US a unit, and you're not making money. All right, so that's what you need to keep in mind. Yes, you may win if you negotiate on price. Yes, you will win on the first order, but they will get you on the second order. They'll get you on the third order. Got you. Yes. Yeah. Got you. All right. That happens. So that's the big thing I want you to take away tonight. Negotiation, key takeaways. The 3-circle control framework. It's about thinking about using your relationship with third-party inspection company, not just think about relationship with the supplier. Take a structured questionnaire approach. Always questioning. Question at trade show. Question in your request for a quote. Your RFQ sheet. Questioning when you go into the factory. Always questioning. Visiting the factory. Let's have a look at the reject sheet. Oh, why are these rejects here? Where is the reject happening? And maybe you can help the supplier. Using the factory visit to help negotiation. So in other words, developing an interest in the supplier's business model, knowing how the supplier is making money is very, very, very critical. And ex-post negotiation strategies was that last part. That is, just be aware of the supplier power. If you get that perfect supplier, then they may price you out of your business in the second order and the third order. You may not be able to negotiate at all, like what happened with that factory in that last example. So continue to work with alternative suppliers, stay up to date with the pricing and trends. So, they're the key takeaways I want you to think about tonight. Now there's some ideas I want you to think about, and we'll get you to do the feedback as we do at the end of each week. But Let me just stop for a moment. Any questions on that part? Hello. The night is young. Any questions?
I have a question, but it's not on that part.
Okay, yes.
Okay, so in the beginning, you said not to look at price. Am I right?
Yes.
And instead, it's important to look at certifications first.
First of all, you need, I think, first of all, you need to know your product.
Yeah, in the context of face masks, right?
Okay, yeah.
I mean, I'm not saying that all factories make the same product, but I would like, if everyone's making 3-ply masks, they're probably using the same technology, you know, to make the mask. So in terms of differentiation, I don't think there's much. So I'm not saying that I'm not going to look at certification, but price would be, I mean, as a screening process, I think price would be more something to build up upon, because if they have the right price, then only we'll look into them for like what certification. And if they have the certification, we know that they are going to beat other alternatives that we may have in terms of price. And if I'm looking for a supplier, I have a business, my business would be more sustainable, which is what I care about.
I think it's a good point that you look at multiple factors. Yes, you look at price if you are ordering a commodity unit. But what we've learned in the last 5 months with the ordering of face masks is that they are not there yet when it comes to treating them all the same. There are very poor quality masks being made by suppliers, continue to be made today. Not because the assembly process is bad, it's because the materials they are ordering are substandard. And the cheaper suppliers, they may give you a better price, but you need to be very, very careful about the quality of the materials they are using. And so that's why normally if all masks were the same and you know you could be guaranteed that they're all using the same raw materials, then I would say what you're saying is correct. Then okay, we just get a price and we make sure I have certification and then go from there. But what we've learned is there's been a lot of governments, associations, local governments around the world receiving shipments of substandard quality masks. And these were buyers that were ordering in, you know, we're talking about in the millions of dollars worth of orders, and they're still bad quality. So we, based on that evidence, we need to be very, very careful.
I understand. Okay. And the next question would be, when you said there are costs to switching suppliers, what cost specifically are you referring to? Because like in a marketplace like Alibaba, it's a matter of a few button clicks. Basically, from not buying from this guy, I'm buying from another guy.
That's a very, very good question. And Jason, I really appreciate your questions, Matt. Number one, you cannot trust a market platform on its own.
Really?
In 2 weeks' time, 2 or 3 weeks' time, I think week 6, we will talk about scams, and I've got my associate Mike Bellamy. You all met him in the videos, the guy with no hair, right? Okay, so he set up a website, supplierblacklist.com, and we've analysed the data from 2013 to 2017. There's about 1,500 complaints. I think I checked last month, there's about 2,400 complaints in that now. Now, not all the complaints are real. Sometimes, you know, it's hard to verify all the complaints, but a lot of complaints are due to the fact that buyers, and we'll talk about this in the week after next, you know, they don't visit the factory, they don't verify who the supplier is, they don't, you know, or they don't get a reference from another customer from that supplier, ask for references, checking the business license. So you can pay a lawyer and only cost you several hundred US$ to check the business license of a supplier in Alibaba. And I would tell any buyer that that's the minimum you should do. Okay, and only a couple of hundred US$, and it's worth its weight in gold, because in the end, if you get that genuine supplier, you're going to do multiple orders from them, right? You know that, you know, you never should go into sourcing if it's just going to be a one-shot deal. You just, if you're going to do this once and you're not interested in building a longer-term relationship with a real supplier, then you're better off just going to a middleman or an agent and let them deal with the headache of finding someone. But the view is that if you were to go to Alibaba, fine. And then the context is, Jason, in face masks, you're ordering 2,000, but you're ordering, I think the ideal context is, you know, you're going to be ordering 2,000, say, every month or something like that, right? Then you want to make sure that, you know, it's better that you have an ongoing relationship with the supplier, because you keep switching to another supplier, you're going to get burnt because you're going to find a dud very, very quickly. The odds of you finding a supplier that will take your money and not send you anything go up considerably if you keep on clicking to another one, click to another one, click to another one. Okay, so I hope that makes sense. Jason, what do you think?
But like a marketplace like Alibaba.
Yep.
Yeah, you may say, like when you say me running into a dud very goes up significantly, I don't really agree with that, because like you said, I can rely on references. So like people who bought from those suppliers, and there are a ton of them, as we can see from how many Excel spreadsheet we have, like 30 plus, right?
Yes.
So like if all of them, I would say if all of them have reviews and they are good, you know, in terms of quality and whatnot, I can buy 36 times of 2,000 masks before I run out of suppliers, which is a considerable amount of time, you know?
Okay. Oh, well, actually, you should thank all your colleagues for gathering all that information. So, but that it still takes time to go and double check every individual one. And no one's ordering 2,000 masks. Most people are ordering masks in, you know, they're paying $10,000 US lots. So I know what you mean. If you're ordering small, then I think your argument, it's okay. Jason, let me try and put your view into a strategy, if you permit me to do that. Okay. So every one of you tonight could set up an Amazon account and start selling on Amazon within less than a week. And if you come to me and say, okay, how do I start? Where do I start? You know, which suppliers I go to, all right? What you do is you start with a budget of $1,000 US, and you go to Alibaba and do exactly what Jason suggests, and you put $200 onto an order of, say, kitchen or sports equipment, anything that doesn't have a moving part, anything that it made of plastic, anything that doesn't have electronics in it, something, and you order 5 different products on Alibaba. Don't worry about verifying the suppliers, just work on with what Alibaba is doing, and then you put that on Amazon. If you were doing that, then the risks are not that great that you will need to go further on what I'm talking about tonight to do all these extra verifications and things like that, because you're only putting down $1,000 and part of it, it's more of a strategy. You know, maybe there's one product you put $200 down to ship pens. You want to sell pens. Maybe another product is this phone holder. So you put $200 down to order, say, you put $200 down to order 20 of these to sell on Amazon. Okay. And you put $200 down to order 20 of these notepads, and then you sell them. And you could do that within 1 week. And then what you find after 1 week, one of those 5 products is selling out, but you can't sell the other 4 products. So then you go back to that supplier or that product selling out, and now you actually go to this, what we talked about with the face masks. Now you're starting to get serious because there's a product that you're actually selling. Maybe it's this one that's sold out within 2 days because it's what Amazon wants. Now you go back to that supplier, and now you're getting serious with that supplier. You're not just buying $200 worth of products from them. You're now buying, you want to order $2,000. And now you're getting serious. So then you want to make sure, be very, very careful that maybe you need to get a further reference outside of Alibaba to make sure that this supplier is the real deal. Because what some of the ones that do, they take you for a ride, they let you have your first order, but they get you on the second order and the third order. So just keep that in mind. But Jason, I just want to acknowledge what you're saying. And I just want to share with you in the class, like that's a strategy that you would follow without having to go further than Alibaba, and you actually test the market first. And so you're sure about what you want to sell, and then you can go and then you find the need to get third-party verification and further verification of the supplier, because now you want to concentrate your sourcing from one of those suppliers. Does that make sense?
Yeah, thanks.
Jason, I acknowledge what you're saying. I think it's the size of the order. The order gets very, very large. You need to go beyond Alibaba and getting further verification.
Yeah,
if the order is small, then your strategy works.
Neil.
Yes.
I have some. I do agree with Jason, his strategy. What I understand from him is that with the platform of Alibaba like that, there are like thousands of suppliers. So sourcing a supplier doesn't take a lot of time, first thing. Second thing, I also feel that not only rely on one supplier, even though I want to have a long-term relationship because of BACNA, because of BEST. I mean, there's if let's say, if I rely on one supplier only, if this supplier have some hiccups or something, then I have totally out of the resources. So I would rather have, let's say, I'm not talking about 20 suppliers, but probably 3 to 4 to have a long-term relationship with 3 to 4 selected one and good reliable one, 3 to 4, and that's the thing. Yeah, it's a kind of backup or thing, kind of this kind of strategy.
Yeah, and the marketplace allows that.
Yeah, because the marketplace is very easy to source nowadays. So what he means is it doesn't consume a lot of time to source it. So that's why it is not like last time when we have to contact with fax or telephones. It is time consuming, but nowadays it's very easy. So taking that time to have a pool of resources, suppliers would worth the time to have that pool of resources. What I mean. I think what Jason means that.
I think it's product dependent too. It depends on the product.
Right.
And also it depends on the budget. So if you're just ordering less, you know, you're putting $200 down with a supplier for a product that's like a commodity.
Okay.
Then, you know, there's no, you know, the costs,
Okay,
the cost of
agree.
you getting third-party verification, all of that are just too high. But if you're putting down tens of thousands of US dollars down, then you need to do more of what we're talking about. Yeah. So it's a scale thing, right? As you get larger, then you need to be more careful. And I can show you a video I put on YouTube and show you a video where talking with one of my other friends, Charles, and he ran into a buyer at a trade show and just lost 200,000 US dollars because he failed to check who the supplier was. And yeah, we'll talk more about that in a few weeks' time. So I can see you're all getting very interested in this. It's exciting. And, you know, I think the big thing that, Jason, you're highlighting is this, you know, at what point do you get to where you don't trust what's on the platform? And my answer to that is it just depends how large your order is. If it's a very small order, you're testing a market, then it doesn't matter, you know. But once you get larger and you're serious and you're tweaking and everything like that, then all of these issues matter. Great. Love your discussion there. This is great. Comments from anyone else? Remember, this is your time. So pick my brains or pick someone else's brains.
Yeah, actually, I agree with the scale part because, well, I haven't actually been in a position as a buyer, but I've been in a position of a creditor. So I was working in a bank. So I've been doing all of these like factory visits and, well, the loan itself was not very big. It's only like 3 million ringgit. But yeah, I do actually like encounter, sometimes I ask a lot of questions to the manufacturer, but you know, manufacturer, you was looking at the bank staff about to give you loan. They are very actually they are very taken aback whenever I ask a lot of questions because I'm curious, right? Is this factory even real? Is this factory even his? You know, because at one time there was actually a case where I went to a factory. It looks convincing, but then 6 months later went default. So how do you indicate whether this factory is actually like sustainable or not? Because I do experience myself, like it's very convincing, but then after 6 months, it's just went default.
Wow.
It's not sustainable.
Amazing. Agya, how many years were you involved with the loans to the factories?
Well, actually, I was involved for around 3 years,
Right.
but because my loan was only limited to like 3 million ringgit, so I was not actually involved to a lot of big factories. Most of them are actually like suppliers.
Right.
So, but this one instance where they are actually like manufacturing aluminium, it's just, I don't know, it's just like we are very surprised. It's like 6 months, and then suddenly it just went default.
Wow.
We don't even know like what is going on. And even one time, very rich factory is genuine, and then the owner suddenly died and everything falling apart. So I think if there is one thing that I want to add on is like we have to actually also, you know, observe the health of the owner also, because I do have that. And my boss actually like teaching me, Agyar, look at the medicine that they have. If they have medicine lying around, just ask
oh, I like
because
that. I like
it's
that.
like, because suddenly they die, you know, when they are about to extend the loan, the owner actually died, and then the family cannot continue the business.
Yep.
So I think maintaining long relationship is important.
Oh, that's.
You need to have a medical report then.
I couldn't.
Actually, especially for the older one. Yes.
I get it's a point I make in coming weeks. So I could have made it here, but who the owner is a huge factor.
Oh.
Who the owner, what's their mentality, especially when you're getting into tweaking a product, or you're going into higher end products and you're putting more money down with a supplier. Knowing who the owner is very critical. So your example hits that home in a big way. Yeah.
Agreed.
Guys and girls, you're bringing up lots of energy now. Finally, week 4, I'm starting to hear stories from you. I don't want to hear myself too much, okay? I'll sound like a broken record. Okay. Anyone else, please? This is very, very, very critical. And so while we're on that, and Jason, you bring up a good one. I'm just sharing what you did tonight, like all of you. I've got two new projects, ideas in the same area for your group project. And the first one is to actually take this table even further. That is, you investigate this whole business of mask manufacturing, okay? And starting off with all this information that actually the whole class gave. So, we're asking for class permission for that, for the particular group, if they're interested. Okay. So if a group's interested in doing that, I've thought about, the extent of how this can work, but to take this one step further and actually come up with thinking about the patterns of, what are the suppliers, what are you finding in these the patterns in these quotations in terms of the certification, what you're finding on Alibaba, in terms of the terms, in terms of the prices across all these factors. And are they different because of a different location? Are they different because of the different product? Or are they different for other reasons? And so, that's a project there. But there's another project I want you to think about that I'm just trying to give you some ideas that it's really relevant and would actually make it very relevant for your own CV going forward. And the big question that a lot of people are asking, especially post-COVID, and because of the trade war, is where are the world's supply chains moving to? Where are they moving from? Where are they moving to? And an example I showed you in week 1, if you look on my PowerPoint, did I show you a map of China? And I had some reasons why factories were moving south, reasons why factories are moving north, reasons why factories are moving inland, and things like that. You remember that? You remember that PowerPoint? Yes or no? Hello? Hello?
Oh, not really.
I just remembered you saying that why the poor people on the left are moving to the right where the ports are. I don't remember.
Okay.
I don't remember the factories.
Yeah, understand. Let me just, let me find it. I think I've got it. No, it's not. Close. There it is. All right. Can you see that? Yes or no?
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
So a good project, like this is 3-5 years old. Okay. So a project I would propose to any group is to do something similar. So it's library research to find examples of this move out of China. And, you can point, in and out of India, in and out of Vietnam, or, it doesn't just have to be China, but, actual examples of, there's so many documented examples of factories moving from China to Vietnam, China to Malaysia, China to Thailand. And then you document that, and then you make an infographic like that as a project to give a map of the movement of the global supply chains in the last 2 years, and in some ways it's kind of predictive for the next 2 to 5 years too, because you know a lot of the movements in the last 2 years is because of the US-China conflict and the trade war, and you know people want to know about, you know, what are the trends, and this, what I've got here in some ways is sort of 5 years out of date. So it's kind of like, you know, what's an updated version of this look like? And so I propose that as a group project. If anyone, you know, you know, came up with this, it's a way of thinking about your project in a way that is impactful for what people want to know post-COVID and because of the current US-China trade relations. Okay, so I just wanted to leave you with those two ideas. And so as we do every week, by the way, what do you think of those two ideas? Think about that. Add that to the other ideas, because in the coming weeks, in the next 2 weeks, I'd like to meet with every one of you, every group. I'm meeting, hopefully I'll meet 2 groups this week that are presenting, not next week, but the week after, okay, related to the Bluetooth video manufacturer and also the power bank supplier manufacturers. So that's in week 6. So there's 2 groups presenting case studies. Then I'll meet with you this week. So it's I identify one time, 1 hour, either Thursday around lunchtime or Friday around lunchtime. When I say lunchtime, I mean say between 11 and 12, where I can meet the 2 groups for that 1 hour. Okay, so come back to me with emails so we can identify an hour, either say 12 o'clock on Thursday or 12 o'clock on Friday. Then we just do, no, wait a minute, I think 11 o'clock Thursday or 11 o'clock Friday, or we do 3 p.m. Thursday or 3 p.m. on Friday. So I'm just suggesting, all right? So if there's a clash, then we choose the other one. Okay, so groups that are presenting in week 6, please send me an email, one group email saying that we are group, we're presenting in week 6, look forward to presentation, and we're available for a meeting at what time on Thursday or Friday this week. Okay, can I ask you to go to the magic form in our magic form here. Okay, so if we go to here, we've got week 1, week 2, announcements. Okay, remember you can have a look at the assessment, how to score well, but please, where's the magic form? Announcements, hello, help me to help you. Where's our student feedback? Okay, can you go to the student feedback and then fill out your big ideas from this evening, please? Okay, there's 2 people already. All right, so just, you know, your job, and this time if you ask questions, I'll do my best to make a recording so I can get back to you and then follow up on some of these questions. And I'll cover some of the areas that you covered, that you asked from last week as well. So can you take 5 minutes to fill out this part at the end, please? Appreciate that. And while you're doing that, the 2 groups that are presenting next week, just pay attention. Look at how I presented the 2 factories tonight. It's not about going too long, just keep it short and sharp, and always come back to the class or at the beginning of the comparison, just make clear to the class what they should be looking for. So then it helps the class integrate. And next week, it's very important that the groups, the groups have got to be interactive with you, but you need to ask questions at the end of the presentation. That's very, very important. Okay. Any questions or concerns? As you're filling out this form, you can ask me now while we're live.
Regarding the report for the case study presentation,
yes.
were you going to discuss about that? Yeah.
The report for the case study presentation, it's just 2 pages. Okay, 2 pages. And so what does 2 pages look like? 2 pages is a table. So I like tables, and you just put the facts in. And so in some ways, you're briefly summarizing the comparison between the 2 factories. So I'll give you an example. Let's have a look. Okay, can you see this slide? Oh, wait a minute. Now, this is for, by the way, this is for a final report, factory visit. So there's a comparison, WST, the future path. I think that has to be done in week 6. So all I'm looking for is just something, I'm not looking for this, I'm not looking for this. I'm just looking for something simple like this. Like that's a page where you have one factory here, one factory there, and then you've got details of each factory. And then a second part may be another table that points out something to do with separation, something to do with cleanliness, or something to do with the organization of the people in the factory, or something like that. And so there's 4 to 5 points of comparison. So you have an informative part which actually gives you background of each factory, your establishment, products, location, personnel. So, you know, there's something you present right at the beginning of your presentation. So you can look on the internet to find out the details of each factory, or contact me if you still cannot find out the details, and I'll help you. And on the second page is say you do that comparison, but you actually point out the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 points of comparison that you're going to do during your presentation. Does that help answer your question? Remember, I'm very big, class, I'm very big on tables, because tables is about comparing facts. And at the end of the day, that's what you're doing when you're sourcing. You're always comparing suppliers. You're comparing features. Do I do A? Do I do B? You know, or like what Jason does on Alibaba. Do I click A? Do I click B? It's the same thing. You're doing comparisons. And tables is the best way to do a comparison. But this was a major report that a group did. So obviously this is not a case study report here. But I just wanted to show you what does when I say it, just do a table comparison. Page 1, which is generic details about each factory. Page 2 are the points of comparison that you want to highlight during your presentation. Does that help?
Yeah, thank you.
I didn't want to show too much of this one because I think this is one of the comparisons that case studies that students are doing in week 6. Okay, some of you are, okay, good. Would be when negotiate, identifying. Big question. Just while you're filling out that, I'm happy to just stay on here. Does the free circle control framework apply to suppliers, factories in other countries? Yes, it does. I think it applies to any suppliers, factories, and when you're sourcing away from your own home country, well, actually your own country too, like you still need to have a relationship. You still need to think about the contract legal documentation you still need to think about the quality of the product that you're sourcing. So it's the three-circle control framework is it's just a generic way of grouping 3 groups of concerns, you know, the multitude of concerns that you would have when you are sourcing. And what could be an excellent way to negotiate? Excellent way would be to ask lots of questions. And empathy, getting to know what the person you're negotiating with wants. What do they want? And getting to know the owner would be an ultimate way, by you having a casual conversation with them to find out why is that owner of that factory in business. Is it because they want to make the best product in the world? And I'll actually show you examples of that in weeks to come. Or is it because they want to, number one, make money? Well, how do they do that? Number one, they want to make sales, have profits, do IPO, get the money, and then buy property. And so in the end, the mentality of the owner is a very critical aspect of a sustainable factory, which was very well pointed out by, who was that pointed out that earlier in that last hour?
Yeah, I think the motivation is important because sometimes the business that we visit are not the main business.
Yes, yeah, exactly. And it's someone else's factory, or it's a factory that's dressed up. So my friend's been to a factory, and he suddenly, I think a day or two later, he thought, oh, I'll just drop into that factory again because I'm in the region. He drops in, and the factory is all the signs and everything are gone. You know, the factory was just dressed up for a particular visit by an international customer.
Happens to me.
Just is it, Jason, you have you had experience in sourcing and selling online?
No, but I'm in e-commerce. I'm kind of working in the industry.
It's very similar. Well, it's same, right?
Yeah, more or less. But we handle brands, so we don't really look into sourcing. The brands look into their sourcing. The most we do is advise.
Okay, but you're in the area of services or products? You're providing a service.
Services, yeah.
Okay, that's good, Jason. It's really appreciate your contributions. It's wonderful. I'm glad you're in our class. Just yeah. So anyway, I'm happy to take more questions. And remember, like, I'm in Google Hangouts every day of the week, so you can ask me anything. Don't hesitate. Anything that you're unclear about, any parts of the assessment, happy to help. Always, your understanding of the assessment is very, very important, because you don't want to have lack of clarity on that. So that's happy to help clarify. That's why I want to meet with the 2 case study groups set down for week 6. If you can meet, find a time to meet with me this week. I've given you some ideas when we can meet. That would be great. Let's have a look. Group membership. Let's have a look. Who's in for week 6? I've got the groups here. We're finishing up now, so thank you so much. So we have next week, we have Next and A-Team. Okay, Next and A-Team. Just remember, interactive is very, very critical. And the week after that.
Sorry to interrupt you. Sorry, sir, but I think A-Team is in week 6 because I'm in A-Team.
G3, I think. Yes.
Yeah, we're in week 6.
I apologize. Oh, Jess. Yes,
I got
don't
a heart
worry.
attack.
No. All right. So, thank you. That's definitely A team is in week 6. So actually, Hot and XKL, wonderful videos. So there will be a lot of fun to do that one. And please, Next and G3 are presenting next week. Please contact me if you cannot get extra details about those 2 factories online. Okay, just contact me if you're having trouble with that. Let me have a look. And then next is week 7. Oh, week 6.
G7.
G7. Is that week 6? Yes or no?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Yes.
So
the Boss Limited and Joyful Factory.
Oh, okay. Yes. Well, there's, I think, yeah, they're 2 good factories that I did an audit on. So I presented 1 or 2 of those videos tonight. So it's more of an extension of that. So I think that's very important to have a look at that. Okay. Remember there's other factories you can choose, but you still want to stay with them, that's fine. But that's an audit I did for a buyer in the USA. So it's a really good one, that one. Okay. So that's A team and G7 for week 6. Okay. And if A team and G7, if I can meet up with you on Thursday and Friday for an hour together, like 2 groups together in one session, and we can just answer your questions that you may have about how best to prepare for your presentation. What do you think? Sound like a plan?
Yep, we've actually already emailed you, sir.
Okay, good. I'll check my emails after this session. Okay.
Okay.
Actually, the other, I think there's, for week 6, there's that one. What about the other one? Tail 2. Okay, that's okay. That one. That one. Yeah, G7 and the A team. They're good. It's good. What I ask is, yeah, I'll share the videos with you, but if you want a choice and choice between 2 sets of videos, you're most welcome to. You know, I'm happy to, if you get motivated by watching another set of factories, and I'm happy if you want to change. Just click on the mouse and let me know. Okay. All right. We're finishing up. So let's just finish there. The plan for next week is it's week 5. We're looking at, what are we doing week 5? We're looking at audit parts of unit guide. So quick. Unit 9. Okay. Week 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. So we've got 2 presentations, and next week is going to be fun because we're going to look at the scams. So I'll be actually presenting to you my analysis of the supplier blacklist, which has over 2,300 complaints now. So this will help solidify what we're talking about in actually looking for verifying who the factory is. So looking forward to that next week. And then the week after, we're looking at auditing, and that's where we've got the other case presentations, which we'll look at that. All right, I'll talk to those groups Wednesday and Thursday, Friday this week. Okay, so just want to wish you a great evening. Don't forget to put your feedback in, and I'll actually make up a video of answering the questions for this week. I think it's very good to get your questions. It's very important to me to know what you're doing. All right. It's bye for me, and just wish you want to have a wonderful week, especially in the other units, especially if those other exciting units at the other areas of the supply chain, like marketing. It's at the other end. We're at the supply end. And other units that you're studying. I wish you have a good time. I know you're very busy in your various studies, so thank you very much. So most of you have put in feedback. Got most of you here. I've got about 20 of you. If you haven't put in any questions, you don't have to fill in every one, but if you can put in some questions, if there's anything outstanding that I can help you with, please let me know, okay? All right, and as your groups start to think seriously about what you want to do your major project on, in other words, think a little bit more detail about what your project wants to cover. So we can have a conversation, I can better direct you, and so you can do a better job rather than the rush at your last moment. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Doctor. Have a nice evening.
Okay. Have a good week.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.